evening. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope your Labor Day weekend was good. Somebody got a grilled hot dog and a rib for your boy. Hopefully that happened for you guys. But we're definitely going to get into some interesting things tonight. Shout out to all of the new followers and subscribers I've been seeing trickle and roll in. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We definitely want to get to some important details that are going to essentially help you figure out this whole move abroad, if it's something that is actually doable. A lot of people aren't realizing now that more and more people, it's not just you, more and more people are starting to look abroad and starting to look into different places. And excuse me, the conversations that continue to come up are, what do I do? How do I put this into a scenario where I can start understanding some steps that I need to take, some things that I need to actually go about putting one foot in front of the other to say, all right, this is something not only that I can do, but I am going to do. Well, how do you go about doing it? A lot of myths are put in place when it comes to moving abroad that a lot of people aren't realizing are like hurdles that aren't really hurdles, but considering a couple of things, you've got, I would say, don't take this wrong, but uneducation when it comes to what life is like outside of the United States. That is a huge problem for people in the US. The reason why is, if you are from another country, you are 100% aware of not only that there is another country, but there are different inhabitants of the other country. Yet, so many people I think now are looking at the internet and saying, oh man, there's black people in Scotland and Ireland and these places where apparently black Americans did not know. And even when I first moved abroad and moving to Colombia and being in a scenario where I was spending time around a lot of Afro-Colombians, I was getting messages or at least responses in my DM saying, hey, who are those people? And the myths that play into the entire moving abroad process is, one, if you're not a black person, you may not realize that there are entire huge communities of Africans that are a part of the diaspora that are actually over in other places waiting for you. That is one of the things that a lot of people don't realize. And we're going to get into a number of these myths tonight when it comes to moving abroad. I think the biggest thing is the money thing. The money thing is one of the biggest things in a room, is because a lot of people, some of the top reasons why they're looking to move abroad is because it costs so much money in the United States. I see videos on the internet all the time, all types of socioeconomic people, black people, white people, quote unquote, doing well, quote unquote, not doing well. But a lot of people are saying things aren't adding up. What I'm getting for the cost that I'm paying is no longer, $100 doesn't go as far. And I tell people the exercise of taking $100 and dividing that amount into how many hours you need to work for these things. It kind of sets the table where a lot of people are, is like, I want to move abroad, but is it really cheaper? And these things are skewed because a lot of people are seeing videos that go viral and people are saying, oh, well, if you move to Thailand, I got this $400 villa for uh, a month. And it's got a pool, it's a 1 or a 2 bedroom, whatever the case is. And that is what people are selling their entire leave abroad plan on. Well, I saw that it was cheap here. But I also know it all comes back to you. So many people are looking at this move abroad scenario and considering the myths or the things that they're hearing, but not realizing that no matter what you hear, it's all about you. Because somebody can say, yes, I pay $400 a month for a place in Colombia, but do you want to live there? Just because they pay this amount doesn't mean that you want to live there. So you've got to realistically put that into consideration. Just because you saw that it was cheap there doesn't mean that you're going to want to stay in what they showed you as, or that it is going to be available at that rate by the time that you get there. So putting That thought process into it is definitely one thing. Now, what we also have a tendency of doing and not realizing it because we're so used to our money not going as far that $1,000 a month for an apartment in some places is really expensive. And then other places, it may not be enough. Enough also comes back to those amenities I tell you guys about. Because this is a sliding scale of what it is that you would like out of your place or what you want to do. People say, yeah, the currency exchange in Colombia to the United States, well, US dollars, $1 goes about, let's call it about 4,000 pesos. And you think, oh, well, everything must be cheap. It's a third world country, so everything is cheaper there. Well, let's talk about what that could look like. And this is going to be nuanced also everywhere you go. So you've got to consider where you are in Colombia or what destination you're going to. You've got to factor in what you want as far as amenities. Remember, you're coming from the United States, your first time out. Maybe you stayed in resorts, but maybe even stayed in Airbnbs that were designed for vacationers. But now this is going to be your home. So when you look at how much things cost abroad, that completely is a mirror answer. Because if you, I'm a tall person, not really tall, but 6'3" is tall when you go to a place like Colombia. So having a king size bed is not something that every place is going to have. Some people will invest in that, but some people do not. Is that important? Is it important to have an elevator? Because if you're on the fourth floor and you have to walk up and down the stairs every day, is that something that you are going to want to pay a little bit more for? In Colombia, air conditioning in Medellin is not standard. They have it, but it doesn't automatically come because it's not that hot there. Is that something that you want? A dishwasher, 24-hour security, a pool, a gym? All of these little check boxes are things that can inflate what it is that you want as far as how much you're going to pay per month. And then you've also got to realize, where are you? Because yes, maybe you can get a place that is $200 a month with a beautiful pool. But what happens is, well, do you need a car? Because that's another expense. Or do you need to have a moto or some sort of transportation to get to and from? What is that like? Are you looking to go get a localized driver's license, or do you have an international driver's license? Do you actually want to drive abroad? So you guys are asking about pricing and not realizing that this is a you thing. You can actually spend, because I know they told you it was a third world country, but you can actually spend just as much money as you do in the United States and still not be the richest person in the world. I know they told you it's a third world country, so nobody has any money, but that isn't true. Plenty of people have money. Now, just like in the United States, there are a set of people that have money and there's a set of people that don't. You're still going to be in a set of people that don't. You may just be in a further scale from where you are in the United States compared there. But these are realistic things because you ask me, how much does it cost to live there? And I'm like, well, what lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want to still have a big walk-in closet so you can have all the shoes and the stuff that I told you to leave in the United States, but that's what you want? Do you, oh, I can have an in-house person work for me, but do you know the local laws to hiring somebody full-time? So many people tell you, oh, well, I hired somebody when I went abroad. Did they tell you what that process looks like? Because in the United States, we say, oh, well, I'll just pay them like a 1099. I'll just pay. Well, it may not work like that where you. Do you see what your life could be like? Because you may now see things in a way where you couldn't afford them. A maid or a person that is working, chef, cooking, these kinds of things, a driver. These are all things where it comes down to, what do you want? So the biggest myth when asking how much do things cost, it comes back to, what do you want out of where you're going? What are you looking, what kind of lifestyle are you looking for? Oh, well, because my dollars go further, I'm going to live like a king. I see that all the time. You can live like a king for $4,000 a month. Well, the average minimum wage is $300 a month. And what does a king look like to you? Are you just looking to be able to pay your bills, be able to save, or are you looking to be able to say, everybody look at my Instagram view? I've got a pool in my second bedroom. Look at this 50-inch, 75-inch projector and a beautiful view of X destination. What do you want? Who are you going to be? The myths are actually within the man. You guys are only building these myths up because you're trying to figure out, well, what stuff is valuable to me? And I tell you, the things that are going to be valuable to you are the questions that I ask you and only you answer. Only you are only going to be the one that knows the answer, but they're questions designed to wake you up and give you some pause to help you understand there's a lot more to this than what you just see on these internet streets, what you just think are the biggest things that you need to know. Yes, it is cheaper abroad, but you could easily build that dollar amount back up to where you're spending exactly what you want. Now, bottom line, you'll get a lot more, but is your scenario to be after after you pay all your bills or whatever? In America, you've got, I don't know, $500 extra a month. Whereas, would you want to move abroad and still be in that scenario? See, it's a mindset thing because you could still be only $500 extra per month, and maybe that $500 goes further, but from a building wealth or building investing into yourself, what I mean, 500 extra dollars. You remember why you started. So these cost of living and money things comes down to you. Do you want to eat steak and lobster every night? Do you want to go out and go to the nicest restaurants every night? Or will you go to the local market? Will you cook? Will you go to places that aren't designed for the American wage and go to places that locals will go to? I know in Colombia they got the menu del dia. It's like 20,000 pesos. That's like $5 for a sit down meal at a place. And that's sometimes like considered a menu del dia might be like fried fish, coconut rice, and salad, and like something to drink. 20,000 pesos. You could go that route, or you could go, oh, I'm gonna have a 200,000 peso meal every time I eat because I'm getting steak and lobsters that are. This is all back into you. Do you see how these myths are starting to become more about what it is and not realizing that just because somebody showed you a $400 villa doesn't mean it's going to be available when you get there. Doesn't mean that you actually want to live because they're only showing you the house. They're not showing you the road, the house next door, what neighborhood they're in. They're just showing you their house and maybe that individual house, but they didn't tell you they live in the middle of the jungle. Yeah, you are willing to go sell all your things and go over there because of some myth that somebody told you. And I'm sitting here just telling you to ask yourself what and who it is that you want to be when you go abroad, because that is going to be to dictate on what it is that you are looking for, even from just a housing perspective, and then cost of living. Well, I need these. Well, it's going to cost. It may cost a lot less, but these things still cost. Now, one of the biggest things that I think people ask me about living abroad is safety. Safety. Now, don't get me wrong, because this is not a blanket statement. Because what happens is you live in a certain environment that is unsafe, and other places are also unsafe. But unsafe looks a lot different in the United States versus abroad. And depending on where you're going, you may go to a place like a lot of places in Southeast Asia are definitely safer than the United States even. Crime is extremely low. People leave cars open and certain things of that nature. And it's like, yeah, well, that's where I'm going. Well, I told somebody today, like, make sure you know what time it is there, because it is 5:18 Central Time, but it is 5:18 in the morning or 6:18 in the morning in a lot of places over there. So safety, you have to consider where you're going. That obviously brings in a lot of factors. If you're looking to stay on this side, safety is definitely an interesting topic to consider. I was having a conversation bright and early this morning with some of my buddies, and I was just like, we were talking about what's going on in the United States. There's military on the streets of the United States, and they were likening it to military being on Colombian streets or Mexican streets, and I was trying to tell them, like, like that is definitely true. Two things are the same. Well, one, people used to say like bad things would be considered going on in the United States if the military was walking the streets. The biggest difference that I see, because this is definitely a safety thing, because people ask me like, "Well, is it safe where you live at?" And I'm like, the military being on the streets in a place like Colombia or Mexico is to protect the citizens from outlying enemies. Whereas right now, what we're seeing in the United States is the military being on the streets because they're trying to combat citizens. There's no like organized like criminal like organization where the military is like we are going after them. No, they are going after citizens. Whereas abroad, people will see military people with big guns on the streets and different things of that nature, and it's like that is to keep you safe and to harm off people that are organized enough to cause harm. What we are seeing in the United States is a completely different thing, completely different. And I tell people to caution because the narratives that are starting to come out is, well, this is actually good, and we should expand this. And you don't want the military out in the streets because you are the subject. You are not in a scenario where there's a group that is organized and the military has defined. These are real things. So when we talk about safety, yes, it looks different. You may say, oh, well, this is the exact same thing. And I beg you to differ that it is not. I also beg you to differ that, you might have a issue with, policing in the United States and want to know what that looks like abroad. And I tell you, like, things are different for certain. When I see police abroad, I often don't have the exact same initial feelings and no like negative feelings, like maybe sort of like anxiousness versus when I have interactions with police or trying to avoid interactions with police. Depends on who you are. You're like, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. You might be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Tomato, potato. But for those who know what I'm talking about, you may feel like you see police and you're like, oh man, you didn't even do anything. You're just like, oh, you never know. Whereas I know abroad, I don't see police and think, oh, well, here it comes. Because I don't really have anything going on. Like, yeah, they might want to search you. And that is a little bit different because in the United States, people are like, it's a searching thing. And I'm like, yeah, because there's a different attitude that goes behind it and a different reasoning. Places abroad, like, I've been searched plenty of times. And it's like, I don't have anything. Like, I don't have any contraband or weapons or anything. So they're like, all right, have a good night. Keep it moving. That was quick. They're like, yeah, it's nothing. Let them go. Just keeping the city safe. Whereas I've run into that scenario and it has been different back at home. Considering what I'm telling you, the safety factors of moving abroad, you have to consider. These are all so nuanced because I don't know where you're looking at this from. If you're coming from a place where you are living in a suburban bubble, you're not from the city or the inner city, and you've always grown up and had a certain view because things were only given to you in a certain view, you may see living abroad in a different light than somebody. I'm from Philadelphia and I'm from the inner city. So these things look and feel a lot different. I don't feel as unsafe as I do in the United States. I wear certain weights in the United States because I have to go abroad, outside and consider anywhere as a potential. I need to keep my eye on swivel. I need to keep my head on swivel because I don't know who's going to be upset today. Whereas things happen 100 million% abroad. But oftentimes things happen in a way where it is isolated to someone. Now, these mass incidents that are happening in the United States that are now seeming like daily things, I will tell you that depending on where you go, that may be waiting for you also. That's why I tell people to do the research. However, a lot of the places that people have high on their radar is a lot safer than what the United States positions. when you guys can factor in your maybe looking at bringing children abroad. Well, I mean, we see so many things and have seen so many things over the last couple of years that put us into a pause for cause when sending our children to school. But realistically, we run into so many scenarios that this is now normalized. I really only grew up with fire drills. That was gets fire. This is what you do. Now the kids are doing the fire and doing everything else. And that has become a normalized situation. So when you talk about safety, I don't think there's kids that are abroad and running into this being something to prepare for on a wide range scale. People call me and say, "Well, did you hear that Colombia was?" My mom calls me that time. Sometimes like, "Oh, it's a level 2 or a level 3," and I'm like, "Well, have you seen what America is and what people the other countries tell their citizens about coming to America?" A lot of places are like, avoid the entire country, in the entire country. But Americans will tell you that Jamaica and Colombia and Mexico and Panama and Belize and everywhere else in Brazil, these are all bad places because America told you so. And I always challenge Americans, and because I was one of these people. It's not like I'm talking from some place where like you guys are Americans and I'm not. No, I am an American. But I tell you guys because I'm an American from the other side looking back in, and I still have to be an American, and I still have to be hands on post. I tell you guys to look at where you are and understanding that if you have never left America, and you only have seen American television, American movies, American everything, you only know what America has given you. Now, maybe it's right to the T. Maybe it's right. But what if it's not? Hey, what's up? What if it's not, though? But you have no idea. You have no idea what to be able to compare it to. Well, you guys are starting to look on the internet now, trying to see somebody else's. But I tell you, my opinion doesn't have to be your opinion. It's probably not going to be. My job is to get you motivated by asking you questions that are designed to stimulate and wake up something in your head so that you can take the actionable things that I do give you and use it. West Ireland here. Wow, shout out to West Ireland. These are realistic things. You have to wrap your head around these usable things because the moment that you don't understand that this American safety thing is what America told you about the world. America needs you there. You do realize that, right? If all of the productive citizens took their income and took their ability to make USD and take a blue passport, like I told you, these are valuable items that America gave you that aren't valuable in the United States. Your US dollars don't go far at all in the United States. Your blue passport means nothing to you in the United States. Maybe it's a real ID because you need a real ID now. But what real value does it have in the US? It only gets value when it's on the other side. There you are able to see things go further. There you are able to see what if America told you believe is real, if it's real or not. You know what? I went and lived over here. I went actually and saw these things, how people live, how people commune, how things operate, how people feel about just being alive, how they work life balance these things. And it's nothing like America told me over here. People were like, "Oh, you live in a third world country." But when they come and then they see the malls and they're like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "It's a 6-story mall and it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, right?" Yeah, well, hold on. We'll just drive 10 minutes away and there's another one just like this and it's got a whole new set of amenities. And they're like, "Why don't they show this?" Because you wouldn't want to be in what you see. You see so much BS that you're like, "Oh, well, between what you see and what you do, which is pretty much nothing at this point, people are literally saying, I'm seeing the videos. The videos are coming out. People are like, man, all I do is just go to work. And then the illusion of the weekend is just me getting ready to go back to work. They don't mind if you have to spend hours in traffic because remote work is getting more and more difficult to find. I know more and more people are logging on asking me about how to find remote work, and I will definitely tell you it is possible. It is definitely possible. the myth, and since we're here talking about myths, is you need to take that $100,000 bottom line that you have in the United States and take that abroad, not realizing that things in bare necessities and basic life may not cost as much depending on where you're going. Yes, believe it or not, I know people willing to literally leave the US and take a lower paying remote job that allows them to live abroad just so they can say goodbye. Some people are getting pensions and or vet pensions. You know, maybe you're not an old person and we're like, oh, I'm 65 plus, so I'm looking to retire. But maybe you are a military vet. People are looking to ask me about these things, and I'm like, I don't know what your monthly is, but I guarantee you, if it's $2,000, $3,000 a month, it'll go a lot further out of the United States than it will there. These are realistic things you have to consider. Safety is definitely going to be because so I would tell you that things are different. I'm from Philadelphia, so that's why I said some of the people from the suburbs might be like, "Oh my gosh, really?" But I'm like, if you know how to maneuver in certain places, you know not to do certain things. We always talk about wearing your bank account on your body, and that is an important thing to consider. And the reason why is because when you do that in the United States, your people are like, "Wow, look at them." Whereas in abroad, oftentimes you have marked yourself as a target. Because if the local wage is low and you are wearing a yearly salary as a trinket on your wrist or as a necklace or something like that, somebody is going to assume that you've got plenty of money to burn. You say, well I want to go somewhere where I can wear my designer and I can wear my stuff and my jewelry. Please, if that is where your value is, I advise you, stay where you are. You're gonna do great there, chasing that white horse. That I need a new bag. I need to do this. If that is where your heart is, please stay right where you are. However, when you consider like if you've gotten these things that it's just another bag, it's a watch, but it's $5,000, but they just supposed to tell time. What am I willing to show other people versus what I'm willing to show myself? That is the question and thing that you have to get down to. Because these things are important. So when you say, "Oh, well, is it safe?" No, I wouldn't recommend wearing a $5,000 watch and coming out here with a Versace shirt on with your chest out. Who do you think you are? Like, seriously, why do you want to show everybody that you've got it? That attitude and that thought process is why so many people come abroad and then they are introduced and greeted, and I don't mean by in a positive way, by people that want nothing besides their money, whether it's a actual robbery, whether it's where you have money so everything costs five times more. Like, you don't understand that you don't have to be this way. So you wearing $5,000 worth of jewelry, yes, you are at a security risk. You walking around with the phone out like you don't have $2,000 in your hand, and you're just. I see so many people come to Colombia or even come to other places and are really on the tourist thing. They're like holding their phone out, trying to get a picture, and it's like people are on motorcycles. Don't you see them riding past? These things can happen, yes, a little bit more frequently than you would probably in the United States. Knowing where you are helps navigate what it is that you may or may not have to deal with. So many other people, oh, I hear people are getting drugged. Yes and no. A lot of these people that you're seeing that are reporting these things back to you are people that are lowering their inhibitions to a place where they would not and where they're used to. So in the United States, wherever you're from, you know what danger looks like. However, when you're going abroad, because it's a different language, it's a different culture, it's a different pace, you may not know what danger looks like. Yet so many people not knowing what danger looks like come with lower inhibitions than they would in a place that they're like, well, I'm from unfamiliar with this, so I'm gonna have certain cautions back in the US. Yet on the other side of the TSA, a lot of the people that are being taken advantage of and causing security concerns back for people. I'm not saying everybody, because still some people can be taken advantage of. But a lot of people, when reflecting, they're like, why did I do that? I have no idea why you let somebody in your house that you don't know. I don't know why you did. When I was a kid, and it was before I could ever even drink alcohol, my parents always told me, it depends on what kind of community you grew up in, but they said, get a Mickey slipped on you. Like, what the heck is a Mickey? You get a Mickey slipped on you. Like, yeah, Mickey. Somebody slipped him a Mickey back in the day. He ain't been right since the 80s or the 70s. He's like, that dude is crazy. What happened? People grew up learning these things, yet go abroad and everybody's their friend. It's just a lovely energy and it's a great environment. So somebody just hands you a drink and you just take it. And somebody just pours you a drink and you just drink it. And it's like, you know better. But here you are not doing better. Yet you knew better and did not do better. And then say something happens and Lord willing, you make it on the other end. And then now you're on the internet telling everybody it's dangerous over there with no details. So many people have navigated living abroad, moving abroad, and not saying that things can't happen, but you have to realize that the safety oftentimes comes back into what you are doing. You don't have to be doing anything in the United States to be a part of a safety problem. Whereas oftentimes abroad, it's you. It's oftentimes you. There are instances, obviously, nowhere is perfect. But oftentimes, many of the things that are making you possibly concerned about moving abroad are oftentimes the person. I've seen so many things. Like, it's the most insane thing. People will literally be like, I got robbed. And then in the middle of the video say like, well, I shouldn't have did this, but I just want y'all to know I got robbed in X place. And it's just like, well, you said the problem, and anybody that knows any better heard the problem, yet people that don't know any better don't hear the problem. So they're only hearing, I was here, insert destination, and I got robbed. And then everybody say, and that's why I'm not moving abroad. We have to stop that. That's why I try to get out and get as much content and things onto the internet that you can see. Not saying that I'm the end all be all, but I am end all be all at the wits end of people that are just going abroad and just doing these things, providing the content that people are actively thinking that this is gospel and it's just somebody that just started a couple of days ago. I know that I don't know everything. That's why I have so many people that work with us that we bring on because I only have so much experience. But I present things that aren't like, I am the person that gives the experience, so you guys better listen up. No, all of these and most of these things are positioned to ask yourself questions, to make you remember, this is really why things are the way I might be thinking, but I forgot because I'm in such a haste to go about getting out of there. So you got to consider that. Now, another thing that is a myth, and it's a double-edged sword, the myth of do you need the language? Because some people will be like, well, I didn't know the language, I just went over there. And I'm like, yes, I mean, probability again, probability of things working in your favor. And it's like, okay, some places speak English. However, that's often not their local actual first language. Having just basic things like, okay, if you're going to somewhere that speaks Spanish, if you're going to somewhere that speaks French, if you're going to somewhere that speaks Italian, even if you're going somewhere that I go to Brazil, I'm going to say, know how to say good morning, how are you, where is the bathroom, and I'd like to order. And also, I have an allergy to peanuts. Those are my 5 things that I'm going to make sure I know in any language in case I need to communicate. I want to know those things like the back of my hand, at least. It's just 5 things. Challenge yourself just a little bit. But people are like, well, what about the language? Well, yes, you should probably learn a little bit of the language. People have Colombia on the radar and don't speak any Spanish. Depends on where you go in Colombia, that could work and probably still not going to work very far. Like, yes, they speak a lot more Spanish in Cartagena because there's more tourists there. But once again, you should be able to walk into somewhere and people not speak English and you say, hello, how are you doing? Good morning. And they say, fine. And you be able to order something or ask for something. That is, I would think, relatively important. That's why I said, if you're not ready, you stay there until you are. Because thinking that you're going to jump out of a moving train with no way to land and you're going to have a high success of standing up and just striding right into all of the things that you see so many other people doing, can that happen? Sure. Is it likely? No, it's not. So understanding not only the language but the culture. Oh, I don't need to learn anything. It's just like, they speak English over there. Okay, what if they do speak English? Good. A place like Panama, they speak English in many places, but their local language is Spanish. What they also do is use US dollar. You might say, oh, well, they use US dollar too. This is perfect for me. Well, one, if you know, you know, no, it's not. Two, that doesn't mean that it's America there. The culture is not waiting for you. Like, oh, yes, we're waiting to adopt American culture. I know, I know, I know. They told you, America, to us, and then them. But nobody cares about it like you do, and nobody looks at it that way except Americans, honestly. So, looking into these cultural things, you need to realize people from New York are going to have a hard time. People from the South could still have a hard time because people in New York are expecting things to go fast. People in the South may be used to things going slower, business, people talking different. All of these things are going to factor in. The cultures are different. I'll talk about Colombia because the culture on the coast in Cartagena or any other coast is going to be different than places in the mountains or places that are even deeper in the mountains. The people from Bogota are not like the people from Medellin. They have different accents, as well as the people from the coast. They all have different accents. You go all the way to San Andres and Providencia, and they actually speak English patois, which sounds like from our American ears, like Jamaican patois. So yes, they're speaking English that you could actually understand, but you won't understand the culture there. Yet, why isn't things coming so fast? One of the things that took me a sec, well, not too long, but it was definitely a little like, huh. When you go to a restaurant in the United States, people are like on you, like they want to turn the table. They're like, hey, like, can I get your order? You're not ready to order yet? Once you eat, get a check. Like, I haven't even asked for a check. Yeah, I got to get this table. You got to get on out of here, don't you? You need to go somewhere. You need to go do something, right? In Colombia, they're like, call them if you want to order. And then when you order, they're not going to bother you. You need to call them back. And people talk about even from a safety perspective, we give our cards in the United States when it's time to pay the bill. We put it in a little black sleeve. We give it to the person. The person disappears with our card. Just disappears with our card. They're like, where'd my card go? It's like, where'd my card go? Yet in Colombia and in many other places, they bring the terminal to you. Your card is always, you can always see it. So you like safety seems a lot safer to do it that way. The culture of tipping culture has gotten real bad, and you Americans have ruined it for the world. Let me tell you, we, them, us. I wouldn't say it was us. Tipping culture is a terrible. It's terrible anyway because it started from like all the way back. Everything has a root in slavery and like black people's civil rights because it started from there. Well, you guys just need to pay them because we're not willing to pay them. So you guys can tip them, and that'll be what they get for their wages. However, that has made it all the way to 2025, and it has gotten really, really bad in the United States, like really bad. And people are taking their PTSD from tipping culture in the United States and bringing it abroad, like bringing it like it is something that they love, and I don't understand it. The last time I was in the United States, I remember going to a place. It was five of us. We went out, came to bill. Bill said, okay, cool, it's a service charge on there. The waitress comes up to me and said, well, the service charge is for all of the bussers and everybody else that's in here. Mind you, this was 20%. So she said, if you'd like to tip me, this will go to me. And I suggested 20% was there. Well, I did math real quick and I said, well, this 20% is not based off of my original total. It's based off of what my total is after you've already charged me. But then you're asking me for another 20%. So now, if we go about doing this, I've paid about 45, almost $50 extra. That has nothing to do with my meal. And my original, if we were going to even tip 20%, should have been like $25. But now I've got another $25, $30 added on top of that. And it's just like, who is paying for them? Am I paying to eat here? Is it a pleasure for me to eat here and then have somebody wait on me? Where, what are they paying? The owners. Yet the culture out there is outrageous. And then y'all come and then you're like, well, I'm going to give 30% because it's a poor country. Now that could benefit the person in front, but what happens is, and what you guys don't realize with the culture, and you guys not understanding that, and bringing the United States tipping culture and all of the other expectations is that, well, now they're going to assume, well, every American's like that, because what you guys don't realize is you can cry poor all you want, and you really might be. But the moment that somebody local sees you abroad, no matter how poor you may feel in America, you obviously have enough money to travel. So you are not of the poorest Americans. Even like, well, the ticket was only $200. Nobody wants to hear that. They assume that you have money. And I know you never got that privilege before. But yes, you are broke, yet you are automatically seen as he got money as soon as you get on the other side. So you bring in the tipping culture and you're saying, I'm going to tip 20%. Well, every time they see American, they're going to be like, I'm tipping 20%. And what happens is that shifts who they may want to work with because obviously you're going to get more money and not realizing, like, understanding how much things cost before you get there. What to tip before you get there. How things operate before you get there is better than waiting till you get there and trying to figure it out because most of y'all don't know nobody when you get there, going out by yourself and thinking America got you. America got your back. It gave you everything you need to get out of this world and travel. And you're like, I went to the best high school. I went to the best college. I'm the smartest person in my family. I know exactly what I need to do. I've watched all of the YouTube videos, and it's like most of these YouTube videos won't question you like I do. Won't force you to ask yourself some questions because I know what kind of cocoon process you got to go. You are an ugly caterpillar right now. You're having a hard time on the ground, living like a caterpillar. But when I tell you the resources and the tips and the tools that we're doing and trying to give you on here about these myths that you think that are waiting for you abroad or what life is like abroad, like these things aren't real. A lot of them are made up. A lot of them come down to what you're willing to do, how low your drawbridge is into opening what it is that you can possibly receive and going to these new places. Each of these places that you have on your destination list, if you were to go there and spend time there, intentful time, you should have a different experience in all of them. Community will be at the base of these experiences. However, the experience, the different cultures, the different foods, maybe you're long enough there to experience a holiday or a festival, you will see so many unique differences, and you're going to come back to this conversation and be like, damn, oh, dude was right. I needed to have my drawbridge way lower. I can see how I could easily spend $5,000 in Thailand or Colombia a month. However, I don't need to live that life anymore. Yes, maybe at the time those were the things that I was chasing, but where is my priorities now? These are shifts and things that you have to navigate. You guys have to understand that things I know are hard in the United States. And some people aren't complaining. Some people are like, I'm not on the internet complaining. I'm not in the inbox complaining. So you're saying it's hard. I'm like, yeah, let's tell you guys something. I go back to the United States. Being abroad, you see people. They're like, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Nice to see you." Don't even know. Just, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you." People in the United States, even in Florida, in South Florida, it's even starting to get there. And it's like, people, when you look in people's eyes, they're like, "Please don't ask me about anything right now. Like, I am already overwhelmed. Can I help you?" That is the error that I get there. And people are like, I'm not complaining because what is complaining going to do? You remember when the gas went to $3 and everybody said, well, how are we going to afford that? It's just a thing now. Nobody got a wage compensable to being able to afford the amount of gas and the amount of groceries, but what you going to do? So it's just not like, oh, well, some people aren't complaining. Some people are actively coming out, putting out videos and saying, I can't do this. Things cost more than they're paying me. And every month I'm trying to barely make $100 stretch with what it is that I have left over. What am I going to do? And other people are like, man, I'm just going to keep going and keep fighting and just, hope for the best. I tell people this is a realistic thing because life abroad isn't as hard as it is in the United States if you do it the right way. Yes, you're going to still have challenges. You take you wherever it is that you go. If you want to be an introvert abroad, I would tell you that is often the reason to stay at home because you are going to need to step out of your comfort zone, new butterfly. You aren't a caterpillar anymore. You're a butterfly. You went through a whole changing process, and now you're seeing the world with different eyeballs and a different view than you've never had. That's possible. But you got to understand that like the changes in the quality of life, it comes down to your values. Imagine a butterfly going down and seeing how the caterpillars is doing. If you are still wanting to be like, well, now I never had the money to um throw money in the club, but now abroad I can throw money in the club. Is that where your values are? Well, I never had the money to afford a watch, but now I'm afford a nice Rolex for myself. Well, most people, once they get these material things, they then realize that it's just a material. But if you are the person that is willing to take that abroad with you and understanding your quality of life is not determined by what stuff and things that you have acquired. So the myth of it being harder to have a quality of life because they don't, it's a third world country, or they don't have the things that America has. Let me tell you something. At least in Medellin, I cannot speak for everywhere, but at least in Medellin, I had access to malls, healthcare, bowling alleys were different. I had access to everything that I did in the United States. Yet it was cheaper and it was even more of a like experience. Like it wasn't just like here's a bowling alley. It was like here's a bowling alley that is neon lights and it's got like a trampoline park in it and it's like a music with the daggone the saxophone dude had sparklers coming out and they got the fire things. It's just a bowling alley, and you end up paying less money to bowl there than you would back at home for just the same funky 2 hours and some steel shoes. And it's just like, what are we doing? So it just really comes down to your perspective. Yes, you can definitely come out and live the lifestyle. I see so many people selling that crap on the on in Colombia and in other places. Oh, well, if you're a seven-figure a month earner, come down and have a mastermind with us. That sounds like a place that I don't want to go to. Even if I was a seven-figure a month owner, like that sounds like America somewhere else. Like you've successfully decided to not only put a target on your back and say, "Hey, yes, everybody sign up," because all of the millionaires will be at this place, and this is where they go, and this is who they are. Like y'all are so worried about impressing people that they have not shown you they care about you. I'm telling people care a little bit more about you outside because they want to know who you are and not what you can do. And if they only want to know what you can do, then they're going to use you for what you can do. But a lot of the people I've run into just want to know who I am and what are my values and what things that matter to me. And am I like a typical gringo or a typical American? Or, do I value some things and am I here to just exploit or run up the cost of everything because my dollar goes further? That's a lot more what people want to know because once you show who you are, the kind of person you are, not an American first, but whoever you are, that is seen with so much more value than the Rolex Boys Club, the watch, the 50 boys with the necklaces. Like, come on, man. Like, y'all tired and don't even understand that you are possibly looking to go take what you say you're tired of somewhere else, creating myths and possible challenges that you may run into abroad, not realizing that these hills, these challenges are often predicated on who you are, what you are willing to leave. The caterpillar doesn't just say, I'm a butterfly today. No, that dude gotta go in the cocoon. He gotta sit with himself for a little bit. Think about what life he was living as a caterpillar. He gotta then bust out. It don't just open up and be like, all right, bro, you went through enough. No, you gotta bust out of this. This is something that you have to see from a different eyeball perspective. These things are reality. These myths are the hills that you create. Because these things, I always tell people the community is such a beautiful thing. But I hinted on it earlier, the introvertedness. If you don't want to talk to anybody, how are you going to build community? Nobody knows you. What I also see is you guys thinking that you got to reinvent yourself. Most of you don't even know who you are. Why are you reinventing yourself? Well, in the United States, I always had problems. But you were under the United States' stress. When's the last time? The last time may be the first time that you are not going to be under the stress of the United States. What does your life look like when you are no longer consistently stressed? always in turmoil. How can you say what life should be? So you got to get out. And you might say, well, yeah, I'm an introvert in the United States. Well, yeah, because things and people aren't right. And I'm not saying you should be this trusty person, but I'm saying that having your drawbridge low enough so that you can navigate smartly, see, connect with people. One of the big things that we do here at Mood Travel is literally try to connect you wherever it is that you're going. Colombia, Medellin, Cartagena, Santa Marta, coming to Playa del Carmen. If you go to Cape Town, South Africa, if you go to Panama City, and more locations coming, you want to know who to contact, how to get connected with the community. That is what we do. That is why we're here. We want to be able to take the guesswork out of it, but it is still work. Teamwork, hard work, guesswork. All of the root word is work. It's going to take work. It's going to take work on yourself. You have to build a new version of you. The American version, the limited version. You're a limited version. All you have is the America update. That's it. You're not programmed for anything else. Well, I got stamps in my passport. We just had this conversation last week. How many of y'all actually know how your passport works? But you got it. You got stamps. And you told everybody and you told everybody. But what did you do? You guys are now looking to move abroad and considering all of the things that people are saying. It's harder to move abroad. It's harder to live abroad. It's unsafe. It's either really cheap or it could cost a lot. You guys need to think and consider this conversation amongst a number of things because these myths are going to what keep you the reluctance of leaving. And you look up and you're like, I missed it. You might look up and be like, man, the military is out my side of my door now. So we can't go to the airport. I'm be like, this is a shame. The moment that they say y'all can't go to the airport, I'm be like, it's so many people that's gonna try to text my phone like I should have known. I said, I've been telling you, but don't listen to me. I'm just saying, like, you need to start now while you still got time. Because it may not even be something that drastic. Depending on who you are, you may be put into a scenario that it affects you and the subgroup of people that are like you. Who knows what it roll out? We've seen so many things. People were like, "Oh, it's not going to impact me. I don't have this." Well, it's just a different name, but it's still Medicare, and now you don't have medical insurance. Like these things, you can't afford to get sick. Like you don't want to put this on a back burner if this is something that is in the forefront of your thought process. Understanding that, yes, there's a lot of BS on the internet. There's a lot of BS on the internet about relocating. There's a lot of BS on the internet about moving abroad. A lot of people that just got outside want to tell you they got an ebook that you can download. You can go there and they'll tell you everything they'll know about moving abroad. And it's like you are 180 days times two. You should be looking down to take more notes and not, but here we are. And I do, and I point them out, not because like I say, there's plenty of people. So this has nothing to do with any individual. I see so many people, and they're like, 5 pictures ago, you were in the United States full time. But the opportunity to capitalize off of people's pain, people's angst, people's anxiousness to move abroad, make a rough and fast decision because it's hot. They feel like they're on fire, they're burning. And people will always show up and say, well, if you're looking to move abroad, I can help you. It takes a lot longer to put a 1 minute longer to put a 1 hour clip up and bunch of those versus here's 1 minute of me telling you to move abroad and sending you to a call to action. Sorry, I tell more creators, you need to call out the frauds because this is what is going to kick our people in the United States following fast money and fast ways out and fast this and everything is in the microwave and not realizing that my dad definitely said this. You might need to put this in the oven, my boy. You might. You might need to put this in the oven. You can't just microwave your life. Think about this. What if your life changes by moving abroad in a way where if you don't leave, it would have never had the opportunity? But if you don't do it right, you fumble the first time out and it just ruins and sullies everything about moving abroad for you because you had such a terrible experience. Somebody stole your money, then they stole your phone, then you got into a place and then they stole your money because it wasn't the place that it looked like, or it was the exact same place, but it was in the middle of nowhere. I've seen all of the nightmares. When it comes to relocation, you guys bringing your remote jobs and not realizing how VPNs work, how soft VPNs work versus hard tunnel VPNs, and thinking that they don't know where you are and having these sob stories about I lost my job because I moved abroad. Listen, I know you had to see it. I'm telling you guys, these things are all things that you see. They're all legends and myths that these people are putting in front of you and saying, and it's like, you need to get with the real program. Start asking yourself these questions. What am I looking for? That's how much it costs. How much does it cost? What am I looking for? You think you're gonna get a mansion for $5? Oh, they told you you can get a mansion. Right after he uploaded that video, we actually ran out of $5 mansions. Are bad. Like that's going to be you because it's you. It's not the person that's making the video. They could tell you that the mansion. I saw something about Ghana and they were like, your rent would be $500 a year. Then the next four videos I saw, the lady had her comments turned off, and she ended up getting blasted in another travel group because apparently she was scamming people. And it's just like the scammers are out. It takes no time to put a bunch of videos out that are here's 1 minute of me talking. Go to my website. You'll get more in this free master class. I'm seeing the craziest people have master classes, and I'm like, the PBs are starting to have master classes, and not even like how to be a PB. If you don't know what a PB is, I'm going to go ahead and say the elephant in the room. It is a passport bro. The passport bros are saying, you want to move abroad? Let me teach you how. And it's like all you're doing is showing you with four people. What is this? This is outrageous. This is why Americans can get a bad rap. You ever showed up in a new country and they're like, it's an American. You're like, hi, how you doing? You're like, fine. Like, where are you from? Like, first of all, they probably hear your accent, but when you say, oh, I'm from America, they're like, well, that is because these people, these people are going and misrepresenting places as if they are experts and aficionados, telling you all of the top restaurants to go to and about none of the culture there, how much you money and little money you can spend. I can get a $500 steak in there for $20. It's like, okay, but how do you get involved with the people? All I see is you holding other people's hands, and these are in multiple countries. It's just like we as consumers, me, you, we don't need to look at that. We need to less likely do not share anything like this because you will take that and be back home with a busted lip and a black eye and say, America, move, bro, beat me up. And I'm going to be like, I called it. It is those people that are putting these myths and these things in front of you. And it's up to real people that actually live abroad, real people that actually care enough so that you, one, don't mess it up for us, but two, understanding that I want my folks to have a good time. I want my folks to have opportunities and experiences that they really don't want us to have. The things available in our life that we may never have seen. They weren't on our radar. They weren't on our radar for our parents. They weren't on our radar for their grandparents because for them, they couldn't even see that far. We're seeing further than what we could even imagine in 15 probably years ago. I'm 38. 15 years ago, what's that? 23 years old. I didn't think I was going to be living out the United States. I didn't think I was going to be a whole bald-headed man or have a beard. All of these things are things that weren't on my horizon, yet I'm here today, walking living proof of these things, showing people that you may need to put some things in your relocation book bag. You may need to put some tips, some guides, some understanding, some education about the community, some understanding about where you're going, the local language, how much things cost before you get there with your expenses, and thinking that your value is the community is appreciating that now you're here. No, it's the other way around. You are the guest. Don't let other people's misinformation making you think that these places are on your radar. Ask yourself better questions. Not about how much a villa costs. It's free to do research. It's free, and I don't mean just go Google. Like, you want to know how much a villa costs? Go in some of these chats. Start talking to local realtors. Find out there. You want to do a soft without talking to anybody? Go on Airbnb. Look into the places. Half of y'all don't even know the neighborhoods you want to live in, but you want to say, I'm moving to a country. I'm moving to Colombia. Where? I'm moving to Medellin. In what neighborhood are you looking? Well, when I first, this is what I'm talking about. I knew that I didn't want to stay in Poblado. I heard about Larelis, and I was like, I knew I didn't want to stay in Poblado because all I remember was like Parque Lleras is just nonstop tourism. Now I ended up living in Poblado either 2 or 3 different places in the time I was in Colombia, and I didn't see these neighborhoods. So you can't even go. You're gonna put Thailand. You're gonna put Bangkok in. You're gonna put Chiang Mai in. But that's what is the neighborhood? Do they tell you what the neighborhoods are? You should do better research for yourself. If these people aren't telling you actual things that you need to know outside of the restaurants and the cost of things, and look at me and all my women, or even look at me and all my men. This is what life you can live. Comment comment to VIP and I'll send you the link to join the class. It's just like, oh my gosh, please stop. Please, please, my people. I want better for y'all. I want better for y'all. That's why I spend my time doing this. So thank you. Thank y'all for spending a little bit of time with me. Hope y'all got that good barbecue in for your boy because I did not. Did happen to see the pool yesterday, so that was how I spent my time. But in all reality, man, I'm doing my best so that you guys do not have the problems that I hear about. You guys do not have the problems that I am seeing. I'm getting DMs, messages, comments on YouTube and all the other platforms like, this is exactly what I needed to hear. I was only going to spend 5 minutes with you and I end up listening to the whole thing. And the reason why is because I'm challenging you to do a little bit better for yourself. If it is on your horizons, don't just take it as something easy to do. It won't be difficult if you put the right time into it, but it will be work. There are things that you may falsely put in front of you that may seem as challenges and not realizing that this is a road of discovery back to who you are. It's up to you to get on this journey and actually make something out of it. I can only hopefully stimulate some thought process in this. So, whatever you guys do, make sure you are going to YouTube, Black Expat Life Abroad. Also, tomorrow, if you guys go to YouTube, Roots and Routes podcast will be on back 10 a.m. Central Time. Me, Tisha, Akeem, as well as Michelle, we'll be talking about some very important topics. Like I said, I keep my eyes on the streets, and the news and the travel streets are crazy. What we do there is bring you real life, real talk about living as a Black expat abroad. We all have unique experiences, live in different places, and give you the opportunity to tune in live, ask your questions. Make certain you guys are sharing this with somebody that needs to see this. It's important that these messages get out. If it's not me that you're getting wrapped up anyway, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate it as always. Make sure you are sharing this. If you guys are looking for free resources on Colombia, please go to moodtravelcolombia.com. MOOD travelcolombia.com. Go there. There are free resources. Our relocation tours are up there. If you're coming to Colombia, coming to Medellin or Cartagena, interested in a relocation tour, a neighborhood tour, the neighborhood and apartment tour, there is where you can find the information. If you're looking to get in contact with some of our experts, immigration, real estate, healthcare, we got it. Just go there. Many of the resources there are free on movetravelcolombia.com. It's 2 O's in Move, 2 O's in Colombia. I will see you guys tomorrow. Keep your eyes and ears. How much money have you got? Money is literally something you can chase and never have enough. So that's how much money I have. Never enough. But it's you need enough to live, Chuck. But make sure you guys are tuning in. We have so much more in store for you. So make sure you come back here tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. I will see you then. Appreciate you always for staying on with your boy. Hasta luego. My name is RJ Mood, and you guys have been good.